What is up, you beautiful carbon-based life forms? Welcome back to the channel where we look at the planet we're currently occupying and ask ourselves, wait, did the developers just leak a new map? Because honestly, looking at the surface of Earth is boring. We've got Starbucks, we've got traffic, we've got taxes. Boring. But if you go 700 meters down into the Atlantic Ocean, things get weird. And I mean, scientists are scratching their heads and questioning reality weird. Today, we are talking about the Lost City. And no, I'm not talking about that animated movie with the guy from Back to the Future. I'm talking about a jagged, ghostly landscape of towers rising from the gloom of the mid-Atlantic ridge. It looks like a gothic cathedral designed by a haunted crab, and honestly, it's the most alien place on Earth. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, do it now. Or I'll send a remotely operated vehicle to your bathtub to judge your choice of bath bombs. Let's dive in. So imagine you're a scientist in the year 2000. You're chilling on a boat, probably eating a soggy sandwich, and you send a remotely operated vehicle and ROV down to the summit of an underwater mountain west of the mid-Atlantic ridge. Suddenly, the lights of the ROV hit something that isn't supposed to be there. You see these creamy carbonate walls and columns that look ghostly blue under the artificial light. This isn't just a pile of rocks. This is the Lost City Hydrothermal Field. Now, when we think of hydrothermal vents, we usually think of black smokers. You know, the metal-looking chimneys that spew out dark, toxic-looking clouds of sulfur and iron like a Victorian factory during a coal strike. They're hot, they're angry, and they're powered by magma. But the Lost City? The Lost City is the sophisticated, older, and much more mysterious cousin. It doesn't need magma to stay warm. It's got other ways. The Lost City has been active for at least 120,000 years. Let that sink in. Humans were barely figuring out how to make fire while this place was already throwing a chemical rave at the bottom of the sea. It is the longest-lived venting environment known in the entire ocean. Nothing else like it has ever been found. It's basically the Keith Richards of geological formations. It's been around forever, it's seen everything, and it's still standing. The towers here range from tiny stacks that look like toadstools to a massive, absolute unit of a monolith named Poseidon, named after the Greek god of the sea, obviously, because Big Rock number 1 just didn't have that scientific flair. Poseidon stands 60 meters tall. That's nearly 200 feet. It's an underwater skyscraper made of carbonate, and it's just sitting there, being majestic in the dark. But how does it work? If there's no magma, how is it venting? Well, strap in for some geochemistry because it's about to get serpentine. In this part of the world, the Earth's mantle is being thrust upward. When this mantle rock reacts with seawater, a chemical process happens that puffs hydrogen, methane, and other dissolved gases into the ocean. It's like the Earth is having a very slow, very gassy exhale, and here's where it gets truly wild. The hydrocarbons produced by these vents? They aren't formed from sunlight or atmospheric carbon dioxide. No sir, they are formed by chemical reactions on the deep seafloor. This is abiotic chemistry, folks. We're talking about the building blocks of life being cooked up in a kitchen that has never seen the sun. This brings us to the crazy maybe of the day. Did life on Earth start here? Scientists think it's a distinct possibility. Because hydrocarbons are the building blocks of life, the Lost City suggests that life could have originated in a habitat just like this billions of years ago. And we're not just talking about Earth. You know, the moons of Saturn and Jupiter? The ones we keep sending robots to? We're looking for aliens in space, but we might have the blueprint for their home right here in the Atlantic. And maybe Mars had stuff like this in the past too, before it became a giant red desert. We are literally staring at a portal to another world's biology. Now, you might think a place with no oxygen and weird chemical gases would be a wasteland. Wrong. The Lost City is teeming with life, but not the kind you'd want to take to prom. In the cracks and crevices of these vents, there are novel microbial communities that eat hydrocarbons for breakfast. They don't need oxygen. They just vibe on methane. There are chimneys spewing gases as hot as 40 degrees Celsius, that's about 104 Fahrenheit, or a very aggressive hot tub, and these chimneys are home to a massive abundance of snails and crustaceans. It's like a seafood buffet down there, but everyone is very small and slightly radioactive looking. You also get the occasional crab, shrimp, sea urchin, or eel, though they're the VIP guests who show up late to the party. Just northeast of the Poseidon Tower, there's a cliffside with short bursts of activity. Researchers from the University of Washington describe the vents there as weeping with fluid. This fluid produces clusters of delicate, multi-pronged carbonate growths that extend outward like the fingers of upturned hands. Okay, University of Washington, we see you getting poetic. It sounds like a horror movie set, but in a Mother Nature is an artist kind of way. But hold on, because we have a 2024 update that is absolutely massive. Researchers recently announced a record-breaking recovery of Mantle rock. They dug a core sample from the Lost City that is 1,268 meters long. That is over a kilometer of rock pulled from the deep. They're hoping this core will provide the crucial evidence on how life emerged on Earth billions of years ago. They're basically reading the Earth's diary from 4 billion years ago, and the minerals have preserved all the secrets. Now, let's talk about the yellow brick road, because apparently, the bottom of the ocean is just one big reference to the Wizard of Oz. In a related discovery, scientists found what looks like a yellow brick road at the bottom of the Pacific. It's actually fractured hyaloclastite rock, but honestly, yellow brick road sounds way cooler for the headlines. It just goes to show that the deep sea is basically a fantasy novel that nobody bothered to finish. But here's where the story gets a bit depressing, and we have to put on our serious face. Because even though the Lost City is a scientific miracle, humans are, well, we're humans. And we like to break things. In 2018, it was announced that Poland, yes, the country, had won the rights to mine the deep sea around the Lost City. Now, to be fair, there are actually precious resources in the thermal field itself. You can't mine carbonate for much profit, but the surroundings? That's a different story. And if you start dredging and mining the area around the city, you're going to get plumes of sediment and discharges that could wash over the habitat. Imagine you're a tiny snail chilling on your 40-degree chimney, eating your methane, minding your own business. And suddenly a giant cloud of industrial dust from a mining operation covers your entire house. Not great for the property value and definitely not great for survival. Scientists are sounding the alarm. They're calling for the Lost City to be listed as a World Heritage Site. They want to protect this natural wonder before it becomes a footnote in a corporate annual report. For tens of thousands of years, this place has stood as a testament to the enduring force of life. It's survived ice ages, tectonic shifts, and the rise and fall of civilizations. It would be just like us to ruin it in a weekend for some minerals. So what have we learned? The ocean has 60-meter-tall ghostly towers that weep fingers of carbonate. The Earth is basically a giant gas-powered life-making machine. NASA should probably just send their Europa probes to the mid-Atlantic ridge first to practice. And Poland really wants to mine the neighborhood. The Lost City is a reminder that we don't know nearly as much about our own planet as we think we do. We're so busy looking at the stars, which is cool. Don't get me wrong that we forget there's a literal alien city 700 meters under our boats. It's a place where life doesn't need the sun, doesn't need oxygen, and doesn't care about your Instagram feed. It just exists, reacting with the mantle, puffing out methane, and holding the secrets to our origin. If we lose the Lost City, we lose a piece of our own history. We lose the chance to understand where we came from and where we might find life elsewhere in the cosmos. So let's hope the World Heritage people get their act together before Poseidon gets a mining drill for a neighbor. Anyway, that's the deep sea tea for today. What do you think? Is the Lost City the actual cradle of life, or is it just a very fancy rock formation? Would you live there if the rent was cheap and you didn't mind the smell of methane? Let me know in the comments. And remember, the ocean is deep, dark, and full of secrets, and most of them are probably judging us. Stay curious, stay weird, and for the love of science, stop trying to mine the ghost towers. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.